This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial endowment expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on March the 10th, 2017. In 1 week's time, it will be St. Patrick's Day on a Friday. Look out, world. St. Patrick's Day heading into a weekend. It should be fun. Our time right now is 8:45 Mountain. Radio show runs on 6:30 CHED. Sunday afternoon at 3. We are on a half an hour early. 2:30 to 3:30. The Oilers playing host to the Montreal Canadiens. The pregame show, face-off show, 3:30. Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, 5 o'clock. And of course, daylight saving time happened. Clocks sprang forward, fall back. Clocks went ahead 1 hour. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. 1-800-432-1022. Our featured diamond of the week. And this is a pink diamond from the Argyle mine, a .46 carat pear cut. One of my favorite cuts. Fancy, intense, purplish pink Argyle. See it. Featured diamond of the week. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And those purplish pink diamonds have done exceptionally well at auction. During the week, happy birthday. As of yesterday, the bull market in stocks turned 8 on Thursday. A lot of people wondering, can it continue? Will it continue? I guess time will tell. Also this morning, Canada added 15,300 jobs in February. The unemployment rate 6.6% in the United States. They added, with Donald Trump as president for the first month, 235,000 jobs. The unemployment rate 4.7%. We saw the Canadian dollar go down substantially during the week, and it's interesting to note no relief in sight for the loonie as it continues to sag. Just about a month ago, the currency was trading close to 77 cents U.S. This week, it sagged below 74 cents. Here we are this morning. We were around 74 and a half, and now we're chugging towards 74 again. So it's putting in a low that is not seen since January. Also, we should mention oil below $50. A rate hike is 100% guaranteed next week when the Fed meets, and we saw gold and silver continue to be under heavy pressure throughout the week as well. And Harold, all our predictions, you'd said, be wary of gold and silver, rate hike coming, Canadian dollar going down, be wary of oil at these levels, and all your prognostications have been, once again, bang on. And as a result, those that are taking our advice are doing very well in the financial markets.
And nothing makes me happier than that, Randy. Again, that's why we do the show, and that's why we do what we do. The fact is that the markets are doing exactly what we thought that they would do. You know, I'm very pleased about it, obviously very proud about the fact that we've been able to give you trends in markets that have been just substantial. I mean, it obviously started back in 2000 when we recommended gold at 250, and it went all the way to 1900, the biggest bull market of all time, and that happened out of nowhere. Nobody was calling for the gold and silver markets to run because they just saw no potential for that happening. It was a shock to most people, but it was the biggest bull market. We have had clients that became multimillionaires because of it, and again, I think that we are going to see a lot of action in the markets coming forward. And again, I'm not convinced, even though I do feel that the U.S. dollar is going to continue to climb substantially and be the strongest currency. Normally that would push gold down substantially. But there are factors out there that could support gold in and around the 1,050 level. And a lot of that has to do with what happened over this last week or so. It certainly concerns me that President Trump is getting that severe with North Korea. North Korea's got a gigantic army, and they're not a country to take lightly. And North Korea was actually testing missiles, and the fear for that is Japan, who is very friendly with the United States, and South Korea. The U.S. has facilities there. So it's a concern, and I think that will support the price of gold in and around the 1,150 level. And again, I do believe that there is going to be a time in the foreseeable future that gold is going to enter another bull market, and we are going to see a massive run-up in gold, even though the U.S. dollar is going to remain extremely strong and probably be the strongest of all currencies. Now, for those of you that don't understand the currency markets, it's important that you understand that almost everything that happens financially in our life is involved around currencies. And if you just sit there and let the currency markets get away from you, it could affect your financial situation substantially. In actual fact, we saw the best example of that back in 2016, probably 4 months ago, when Brexit happened. That was when Britain was planning on exiting the European Union. And basically, it could have gone either way. However, people that just sat there and didn't do anything really got hurt badly in the marketplace. They lost 25% of their net worth in 1 hour. In 1 hour, because they didn't hedge the currency. A similar scenario was happening in Canada. It wasn't that long ago that the Canadian and the U.S. dollar were at par with each other. And now the U.S. dollar is sitting at 102, and the Canadian dollar is sitting at 74.5 cents, or around 74 cents. So this is what is going to happen in the currency markets, and this is information that you need to know. Whether you do anything with it or not is entirely up to yourself, but the opportunity to make an awful lot of money is certainly sitting right in front of you, and it's another one of these trends that we've been able to identify that will make our clients fortunes. So basically, over the last 5 years, we've been recommending very heavily that our clients, our Canadian clients, get out of Canadian dollar-based investments and get into U.S. dollar-based investments. Now, we have private investments. We're an alternative asset company. So we're not dealing in stocks and bonds and paper assets. We deal with the real thing. And all of our assets are based in U.S. dollars. So if the U.S. dollar is going up in value, which it is tremendously, it only makes sense that we want to be in, have our money in U.S. dollars. If the Canadian dollar is going to plummet, which it is, unfortunately, please don't take that the wrong way. I'm Canadian myself, as is Randy, as are most of our clients and friends. So all I'm reporting to you is what's happening, not what I want to see happening, but what is happening and what we can do to profit by it. So if the Canadian dollar is going to fall, it basically means that as a Canadian, when we travel, let's say, to the United States, right now, if you wanted to buy $1,000 in American money, it would cost you $1,350 Canadian to buy 1,000 American. My prediction is within the next year, we could see that it would cost basically double that. We think that we could see a 50% difference between the Canadian and American dollars, and we want to take advantage of that. If the U.S. dollar is going to get stronger and the Canadian dollar is going to weaken, we want to get out of Canadian dollar-based investments, including your retirement savings plans. I know that sounds crazy, but the fact is, if you look at the net results from your retirement savings plans over the last 10 years, you'll agree with me that they've been pathetic. Nobody's made any big money in the last 10 years, and if today we're celebrating the 8th year bull market of the U.S. Dow Jones, the fact is that 90% of the people that trade in that market lose. So I know that sounds confusing. How in the world could you be in an 8-year bull market and still lose money? Because a lot of people try to pick individual stocks, and when you do that, the odds are against you. If you wanted to win in the stock market in a major bull market, you buy the actual index. You buy the S&P or you buy the Dow. You don't buy individual stocks or mutual funds, because very few people make money in those markets. So we're recommending to our Canadian clients to get in touch with us. We have very conservative and very safe programs that pay extremely high payouts in American dollars. Since I started in my career for the last 35 years, it's always been my clients in Canada that have been with me every step of the way. When I've grown my business, when I've needed to do different things and needed money, instead of going to banks, I've always included my clients as partners. And this has been going extremely well, especially since, as partners, we've been in U.S. dollar-based investments. We have one particular investment from our company, Natural Diamond Investment Company, that pays our clients 24% a year, and we pay every month. So you get 2% of your investment monthly, and that's paid in American dollars. Now, I know that sounds too good to be true, but we've been doing this for over 5 years now, and our clients that are involved with us, many of them retire off of the income that they get from our natural diamond investment company. It pays 24% a year, so if you invest $100,000 U.S. with us, you're going to make $24,000 a year, but you're going to get that monthly. So you're going to get paid $2,000 a month U.S., which right now is worth about $2,700 Canadian. Many of our clients, especially up in Fort McMurray, have invested with us in these programs and have done tremendously well and have actually gone through extremely difficult financial times. If it wasn't for natural diamonds, they never would have gotten through it. So, again, this is available to the listeners to our radio show. We've been in business for, my partners have been in business for 4 generations. And they're in the mining business, and these are the type of deals that we allow our clients to partner with us on. So if that's of interest to you, the thing is that you're never going to be able to retire with the markets the way that they are right now. For example, keeping your money in the bank is not only risky, but it doesn't pay you anything anymore. You're getting paid in Canada 0.5%. Well, 0.5% after you is nothing. Obviously, it's pathetic to think that you're going to put your money in the bank. We used to get 10% or 15% back in the 80s. Now you're getting 0.5%, and nobody could retire based on making that type of return. On top of that, the banks are not safe. On top of that, it forces people back into a stock market that is extremely risky, where 90% of the people lose. So again, let us help you in that area. You need to get out of Canadian dollar-based investments. I know it's, time to put money into retirement savings plans, but if you just look at the results, it's not working out well. Give me a call. Let me explain what our programs are and how we can get out of weak Canadian dollars into strong U.S. dollar-based investments and make the type of money that we need to move forward with our life. There's tremendous opportunity out there for those that know how to capture it. And I've been in this business 35 years, and those that have listened to my show in Canada for the last 20 years known that we pick some of the biggest trends that have ever happened and have made some of our clients extremely wealthy. Many of my clients are just everyday hard-working Canadians. We are not the Warren Buffetts of the world. My clients work extremely hard, and all they want to do is have a fair opportunity, and that's what we give them. So give me a call. I'll explain how our programs work, and again, how we can get out of weak Canadian dollars before they plummet, because I'm predicting that the Canadian dollar is going to fall into the 60s when the U.S. 115 to 120 level. We can make a fortune off of that currency conversion alone, let alone the 24% that my clients are making on their investments.
Connect with Harold, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. The website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. If you were listening to Harold and want to find out more about what he was talking about, the programs he has in place where you can start making money today, connect with him, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. We'll talk about diamonds in the second half of the show. Our featured diamond this week is a .46 carat paracut fancy intense purplish pink argyle. See it online, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. This is the World Financial Report on radio, normally on Sunday afternoon at 3 on 630 CHED. Today we're on 2:30 to 3:30. The Face-Off Show, Montreal Canadiens, Edmonton Oilers, is happening at 3:30, game time 5 o'clock. Connect with Harold, 1-800-432-1022. And one of the reasons we're very bullish on the U.S. dollar versus the Canadian dollar has nothing to do with patriotism. As Harold said, we're Canadians. We love Canada. Janet Yellen hints at more aggressive rate path upon locking in March. And the chair, Janet Yellen, left little doubt last Friday that the central bank will increase interest rates this month. They're going to be meeting here on the 15th. More importantly, she dropped hints that it might end up having to increase them this year more than planned. In a speech to the Executive Club of Chicago, Yellen singled out the danger of the central bank being too slow in boosting rates. We realize that Waiting too long to scale back some of our support could potentially require us to raise rates rapidly sometime down the road, which in turn would risk disrupting financial markets and pushing the economy into recession. Yellen all but declared that the Fed, when they meet on the 14th and 15th, will raise rates, saying that such a move would likely be appropriate if the economy stays on its current track. She also suggested that this would not be the last increase this year. Policymakers penciled in 0.75 percentage point rate increases for 2017, according to the median projection in forecast released in December. Now they're talking about increasing rates even fuller. Now, I should mention one of the other interesting notes that came along this week. Steve Mnuchin, who is the Treasury Secretary in the new Trump administration. Sort of funny, he worked at Goldman Sachs, and if you watch any movies, you will always see Steve Mnuchin's name there as executive producer. He was in the movie business prior to becoming the Treasury Secretary. Now, they are actually getting a letter, Congress, from Steve Mnuchin, raising the debt ceiling. In a letter to House Speaker Paul Ryan sent Wednesday, Mnuchin said, the outstanding debt of the United States will be at the statutory limit at midnight of March 16th. At that point, the Treasury will have to utilize extraordinary measures for the federal government to keep paying its bills. Mnuchin told Ryan at that point, the Treasury will suspend the sale of state and local government securities until the debt limit is either raised or suspended in order to prevent a default. And they actually have sort of a drop-dead date. They call it Date X. And it's either going to be in October or November. No, Republicans want to accomplish a lot in their fiscal wish list for 2017. But one of the must-dos, obviously, is raising the debt ceiling. And the X date, the drop-dead date, is going to be sometime in October or November. So they can go from now until that period of time, and then you're getting into a position where you're going to hit the limit, and you will not be able to pay your bills. So it's something to keep in mind. But overall, Janet Yellen coming out and saying that, yes, they are going to be keeping an eye on the markets, and interest rates will go up rather dramatically if need be. And Albert Edwards, he was noted this week for saying the Fed is about to cause a bloodbath in the bond market. Societe Generale analyst Albert Edwards says higher interest rates will trigger a 1994-style bloodbath in the bond market. Markets are pricing in a 100% probability the Fed will raise the interest rates when they meet on Tuesday and Wednesday. The Fed's most recent projection for the Fed fund rate will be updated at the meeting. But Edwards recalls what happened in 94, and people are expecting interest rates to increase much as they are today. After the Fed initially raised rates, the two-year note yield, which moves inversely to its price, jumped above 50 basis points. Accelerating Fed rate hikes will cause tremors in the Treasury bond markets, forcing rates up, mostly, especially in the 2-year, just like in 94. And he says that year bondholders lost over $1 trillion. So he's worried about a bond market bloodbath. One of the other bond gurus out there, Bill Gross, coming out this week saying our highly levered financial system is like a truckload of nitroglycerin on a bumpy road, and he's warning investors that are tempted to be buying into high-flying equities and corporate bonds, given the possibility that U.S. President Donald Trump might fail to enact policies that will fuel economic growth. He's basically saying, be very, very careful. One mistake can set off a credit implosion, where holders of stocks, high-yield bonds, and yes, subprime mortgages all rush to the bank to claim its one and only dollar in the vault. He said it happened in 2008. Gross said, noting central banks were in a position to drastically lower yields and buy trillions of dollars via quantitative easing to prevent a run on the system. Today, central banks' flexibility is not what it was back then. Yields globally are near zero and in many cases negative. Continuing QE programs by central banks are approaching limits as they're buying up more and more existing debt, threatening repo markets and day-to-day functioning of financial commerce. But strong words from Bill Gross coming out and saying that, it's the financial system like a truckload of nitroglycerin on a bumpy road. Albert Edwards coming out and saying we could see a bloodbath. So, Harold, it's a situation where we need to be obviously very aware of where we are in the financial markets, not only financially but geopolitically, as there are landmines out there. And we have about 5 minutes left in our segment.
You bet there are landmines out there in the forms of derivatives, which they haven't even touched on yet, but there's a lot of landmines out there. What the smartest thing to do at this point here is just not to speculate. The smartest thing to do is just to sit back and preserve your capital at this particular point, because one mistake and it can wipe you out. You don't go into markets that you're not comfortable with. You don't go into a stock market and start picking individual stocks where 90% of the people that trade in it lose. And the same thing with trading leveraged commodities. You just don't do that unless you know what you're doing. And right now things are so confusing and the markets are so volatile that, again, just one bad move can put you into a very bad financial situation. So our recommendation is at this particular point is to stay out of the markets that are risky and look for alternative assets. And again, that's one thing that my companies can give you are alternative assets, not bonds, not stocks, not paper assets. We deal in the real thing, in the physical gold. We deal in the physical diamonds. We deal in the physical rough diamonds as they're coming out of the mine. So this is where we've been making money for our clients, where we're very comfortable in those markets. And again, we shy away from the very risky futures and stock markets, and we never leverage, we don't finance, we buy everything outright, and we own it. This way you could never get in trouble. The worst thing that you could do is leverage in these markets, because the volatility in the markets can really hurt you substantially. So, again, at this point, I take calls from clients on a daily basis. Please don't think that you're not going to reach me, because you will. All you have to do is call a toll-free number, speak to my secretary, and she'll set up an appointment for me to speak with you. Doesn't matter how much money you have. In fact, as I mentioned before, most of my clients are just hard-working, everyday Canadians that just need the right input and the right opportunity. So it doesn't matter how much money you have to invest. What is important is we get you on the right track, get you out of the failing Canadian dollar and into the stronger U.S. dollar, and put you to investments where you can move forward, where one day you could actually have the vision of being able to retire, which most people could never do at this particular point. So, again, I speak to clients on a daily basis. I would be disappointed if you didn't call me, and I will spend as much time with you as you need to explain what your opportunities are and how to get out of the bad investments that you're in at this time and into more lucrative investments that will help you move forward.
Speak with Harold, 1-800-432-1022. The call is free. Anything discussed, 100% confidential. 1-800-432-1022. The website is rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Our featured diamond of the week, and we'll talk about diamonds in the second half of the show, is a .46 carat paracut fancy intense purplish pink argyle. See it at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. One of the stories that we had in our free weekly newsletter this week, get our free weekly newsletter from Harold. We send it out via email free of charge every week. You can spend 5 minutes going through it and be completely up to date, or spend hours. It's really up to you. But it's interesting to note that as a result of Vancouver putting in curbs to bring down their market, stabilize their housing market that was literally on fire, the Chinese that were buying up homes in Vancouver and area are now moving to Toronto, Montreal, and Calgary. Seattle is another stop for them as well. And one of the stories that it's, I think, definitely worth reading, and I would encourage you to take a look at it as a Canadian, million-dollar home contagion is spreading to Toronto suburbs. Toronto home prices jumped more than 20% in February for the sixth straight month as listings dried up, pushing the price of a suburban home beyond $1 million for the first time. The average home in Canada's biggest city, including condos, detached, and townhomes, jumped 28% to close to $875,000 last month. And one of the real concerns is that this market is becoming like a bubble that could definitely pop. And obviously caution is needed now more than ever. And if you're wondering about the Canadian housing market, what to do if you're an investor, speak with Harold Siegel. Connect with him. You'll have some ideas. 1-800-432-1022, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, the website. We're going to come back and talk about diamonds as the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on March 10th, 2017. Our time is 9:12 Mountain. Radio show runs on 6:30 CHED in Edmonton. Normally Sunday afternoon at 3. We are on today from 2:30 to 3:30. Coming up here in about a half an hour, we have the face-off show. Oilers playing the Montreal Canadiens. We've had some tough games here, playing Pittsburgh Friday night. Now the Montreal Canadiens Sunday at 5 o'clock. And good luck to the Oil as they play the Montreal Canadiens. Don't forget, we did have daylight saving, and that meant clocks spring forward, fall back. Clocks went ahead 1 hour. If you're just joining us on the show and you missed the first half for whatever reason, don't forget, the shows are archived on Harold's two websites, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, and HESradio.com. They're archived for you. You can listen to them anytime you want. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You will find us there. It is the happy birthday to the bull market in stocks. Turned 8 years yesterday, March the 9th, Thursday. In Canada, we added 15,300 jobs in February. Unemployment rate 6.6%. They added 235,000 jobs, 4.7% in the United States. Canadian dollar is right around 74, oil below 50. A rate hike guaranteed 100% next week by the Fed. And we saw, as Harold predicted, gold and silver tumble as well throughout the week. So it's one of those things, as Harold has been saying, get out of the Canadian dollar, get into the U.S. dollar. No relief for the loonie as it continues its slide. Just about a month ago, the currency was trading close to 77 cents U.S. This week. It was below 74 at one point, putting it at its lowest level since early January. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Our featured diamond of the week is a 0.46 carat pear-cut, fancy intense purplish pink argyle. And one thing we know about argyles, they're rare, Harold, we know that, but the purple-pink combination has done exceedingly well at auction at Christie's and Sotheby's over the last 10 years.
They certainly have. In actual fact, they've done tremendously well, and they're going to do even better. Because we know that the Argyle mine is closing within less than 3 years, and the price of pink diamonds will skyrocket. Now, I was in meetings with some cutters the other day, and they also told me that blue diamonds will be extinct. We saw what happened in 2016 to blue diamonds. They hit 4 to 5 million a carat, and they're predicting that in the next 2 years, blue diamonds can even go much higher. And then they're predicting the same thing for pink. So to get a large pink diamond today is extremely difficult. Most of the pink diamonds come from the Argyle mine, and most of the Argyle mine pink diamonds are really under a carat. So you're talking about the most concentrated form of wealth on earth. However, the Argyle mine produces small diamonds, and they're sold at what is called an Argyle pink diamond tender, and that tender which happens every year, is the biggest event in the diamond industry. So since 1986, the Argyle mine in Western Australia has been producing these amazing little pink diamonds. And now, again, that's going to end because they're going to close the mine because it's just not producing anymore. So those that own pink diamonds, we believe, are in store for a big payday. Again, we anticipate in the next 5 years that the price of pinks will increase substantially simply because there just won't be any more. So to own a pink diamond and put it away for the family trust or something like that for retirement, you're talking about an amazing investment. And depending on the size of the diamond and the intensity of the color will really determine how valuable that diamond is. So we've seen at auction the past few years that we've seen gigantic increases in the price of pinks and blues and greens we saw last year just absolutely skyrocketed, and we anticipate the same thing will happen moving forward. We definitely want to be in the rare color diamond market because, again, the supply and demand situation is extremely strong in our favor. On top of that, you've got a situation where it's portable private wealth, so it can go anywhere with you. And on top of that, it can be sold in other currencies. There's no other asset on earth that will do for you what a rare colored diamond will do. And we have an auction coming up this month. We've just redone our auction site, and this is going to be a week-long auction offering some of the most beautiful diamonds you've ever seen, and some gold coins and silver coin sets and things like that, but some outrageous diamonds. We feel that the time for diamonds and alternative assets is definitely now, with currencies changing all over the world and the markets the way that they are, as volatile as stocks and commodities are. You need to be in a safer investment. You need to have something put away that, number one, could be sold in another currency, number two, will never decline in value, and number three, over the longer term, will increase probably more than almost any investment that you've ever seen. Best example I can give you is what happened in 1940 when Shirley Temple's father bought her a beautiful blue diamond for the whopping price of $7,100. That was in 1940, so obviously that was 77 years ago. He bought this diamond, this magnificent blue diamond, for her for $7,100, and it sold in 2016 for $25 million. So from $7,100 to $25 million, yes, it took all of 75 years or 76 years for that to happen, but then again, that happens in alternative asset markets all the time. We've seen similar appreciations in classic cars and in art and things like that. So again, many of my clients buy diamonds to put away for their retirement. Many of my clients put away diamonds for their grandchildren and children. That's what I've done for my grandchildren. They don't own stocks in General Motors or in banks or anything. Nothing paper. Everything that I put away for my family is intangible, hard assets that they can hold in their hand and do something with, as opposed to a paper asset that we all know can disappear. So one of the best investments we can make right now is in pink diamonds. They are moving substantially higher, but the biggest moves are by far yet to come. And just look at the featured diamond. I know it's Randy's favorite, the pear shape, and it's certainly one of mine. It's very, very rare to see a pear-shaped pink diamond, and this featured diamond happens to be an outstanding diamond, not only because of the cut of it, but because of the color. It's an intense purplish pink, and it's absolutely stunning. And again, the pear shape is just one of the rarest shapes you'll get. That's a diamond that will go up substantially over time. Now understand that owning diamonds for a short period of time is not the right move. They need time to increase. It's not like a stock or a commodity where they trade on an exchange. They actually trade by private sale and by auction. And we have a very successful auction business. We have a live auction, and we have our new auction site that's going to happen this month. So everybody can go to 8 Siegel Fine Auctions, 8 Siegel, S-E-I-G-E-L, Fine Auctions, and sign up for the auction that is coming this month. We just started selecting the diamonds and other pieces that will be auctioned off, they're absolutely stunning. There's something for everybody. Gold coins, silver coin sets, kilo coins in silver. We've got some of the most beautiful diamonds, and some of our clients will be selling some of their diamonds. So, again, that will happen this month. Go to H. Siegel Fine Auctions, sign up for it, and you'll enjoy this tremendously. This will be an opportunity to see some of the world's most beautiful diamonds, and many of them are priced so they're affordable for most investors. So we're very excited about what's happening at this point, Randy. Again, with all of the situations happening in Europe, with currencies being devalued, and Canada with their currency going down, and England and all that, it's nice to know that there are assets out there that could be sold in other currencies, so you don't get stuck in one currency and lose your money because the currency absolutely dropped. That's not the situation with diamonds.
See our featured diamond, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 0.46 carat paracut fancy intense purplish pink argyle. Not only is it rare because it's from the Argyle mine, but it's rare because it's purplish and pink. And what makes pink diamonds pink? That's one of the great questions. And scientists have looked into it, and it's interesting to note they can't tell you why. They've done extensive studies. They are not sure why. Other diamonds get their colors from chemical impurities that absorb light. Yellow diamonds contain traces of nitrogen. Blue diamonds contain boron. But no similar impurities have been found in pink diamonds, leading scientists to speculate that the color may be the result of some kind of seismic shock that altered the stone's molecular structure. And it's something that has been studied in the past. Diamonds are Earth messengers. They come from hundreds of miles below the surface of the Earth and tell us about a part of the Earth that we can't visit. They also give us a peek back in time because most diamonds were formed about 2 to 3 billion years ago. Each one is sort of like a time capsule. And the pink diamonds, because they're different from all other diamonds, have a different part of the story to tell. Scientists have already examined the Argyle diamonds using a mass spectrometer to try and find any traces of impurities that may be causing the pink color. The machine agitates the diamonds and analyzes the chemical structure of the atoms that are released. There is no impurity that they've been able to associate so far with the color pink in diamonds. And spectroscopic measurements don't show any additional features that you can ascribe to a particular coloring agent. So when you're dealing with pink diamonds, you're dealing with the rarest of the rare, and when they come from the Argyle mine, it's obviously exciting because the potential is just astounding. How many times in your life do you know that an investment will be going away in a period of time, and we're looking at about 3 years, and at that point, 90 to 95% of the world's pink diamonds will be gone, completely gone. If you knew that, there was some investment that in a few years' time that's it, they're gone. And at that point, there'll be no new stones coming from that mine. And if there was not going to be another investment of that type, you would definitely look very seriously at putting some money into a diamond and holding it for the long term, because the price appreciation, Harold, it's going to be very interesting to see in the next 10, 15, 20 years where the colored diamond market goes, but in particular the Argyle diamonds, because they are so rare. And once they are done, I think it's hard to wrap our mind around it right now because we still have 3 years left. But once they are done, that is it. The mine is closed.
You better believe it. And again, the rarity of the pinks is just such a great story. And it's the same with red diamonds. The Argyle mine not only produces the most beautiful pink diamonds on Earth, but they do the same for reds. Maybe once every 4 or 5 years, a red diamond will become available. Reds are known as actually the rarest of all diamonds, and reds and pinks, they just don't know what turns those colors. Now, with green diamonds, it's because of uranium. As Randy mentioned, with blue diamonds, it's boron, and with yellow and orange diamonds, it's nitrogen. So that's what turns those diamonds color. You know, it's really amazing. There's a mine in South Africa called the Cullinan Mine, and it's a very famous mine. Some beautiful white diamonds have come out of there, but it's most known for the blues. So if you were to get two diamonds, to understand that all diamonds are the same. They're all made of carbon. They're all compressed carbon, you know, heated through hundreds and or billions of years, actually, of being underground. So the fact is that all diamonds are the same, except when one turns a color. So it's ironic and crazy to know that a diamond will come out of the Cullinan mine that if it's white, it could be worth $20,000. If it's blue, it could be worth $2 or $4 or $5 million. That's how amazing it is that just because boron seeped into that mine and changed a couple diamonds blue, how the prices have increased. So that's another part of our business. We're into the mining of diamonds. We're mining at this point the next major trend in diamonds, which I believe are greens and oranges. So we have opportunities for our clients to invest with us on these parcels of diamonds that we buy as rough diamonds. And they're just extreme, and it's a really amazing program. So again, for all of our Canadian clients, you can talk to me at any time. You can call me and talk to me about your personal investments, what you're in, and what my feeling of them is, and I'll certainly spend as much time with you as you need to analyze how you're sitting and what you should be doing moving forward. Also, I'll enlighten you as to what our opportunities are. We have many of our investments are in U.S. dollars, which is where you want to be at this particular point, whether it's owning a physical diamond or investing with us in any of our private programs. So, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, our clients that are involved in our natural diamond investment company are making 24% a year return for the last 5 years, and that's all in U.S. dollars, and they get paid on that monthly. If that's something that would be of benefit to you, you need to give me a call.
Speak with Harold, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, the website. Our featured diamond of the week, a .46 carat paracut fancy intense purplish pink argyle. And the Wall Street Journal had a story, and we put it in our newsletter approximately about a month or so ago. Wall Street Journal: demand soars for colored diamonds. Investors seek higher returns, have moved into an area once the preserve of wealthy collectors, and that is the rare colored diamond market. Harold touched on red diamonds, and they have an interesting line in the story about red diamonds. Some red diamonds are so rare that only a handful are known to exist on the planet. You heard right, only a handful. The GIA says their laboratory didn't see a single red diamond from 1957 to 1987. That's right, 1957 to 87. That is the rare colored diamond market, and that's why we're so excited about it, because of the rarity. And last week we touched on the alternative asset theory of being invested in diamonds. We're seeing a slow death of cash in North America, around the globe. Consumers are relying more on digital forms of cash through credit cards, apps, and even cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin. But keeping our wealth locked up in digital forms puts it in more of a control of the banks and the government. The trail left by our wealth is easier to follow, putting a crimp in our privacy, and it's far easier to confiscate in, say, the form of a bank holiday a la Cyprus or Greece. And obviously, we want everybody to follow the law and do everything legal and above board. But if you're looking to store your wealth in a hard asset, diamonds have portability, and it's one of those things where if you need to get out of Dodge, having a gold bar in your pocket or some big piece of jewelry is less advantageous than if you had diamonds. And that's one of the things that Harold brought to our attention back in 2005 when he wrote the article, Naturally Fancy Colored Diamonds, the Best Kept Secret. He said it was real estate in your pocket. Diamonds have been greatly overlooked as a way to store your wealth and keep it highly portable. And for decades, obviously, it's something that people have been doing privately. It's a store of wealth, and it's something that, as the Wall Street Journal reported, the investors that are seeking high returns are moving into this purvey, and it's not just the wealthy collectors anymore. You have other people looking at alternative assets. And Harold, you were one of the, we have about 3 minutes left here, you were one of the pioneers in bringing rare colored diamonds to our attention, and the fact is, through your website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, the top diamond website on the internet, we know that people that have invested with you have done extremely well over the last 12 years.
Well, thank you, Randy. And again, we're going to continue to do that because, again, I firmly believe that you need to own assets that are outside of the system, especially outside of the banking system, that are not paper-related, something that you own outright, that can be with you all the time. If you ever needed it, you've got this hard asset. So we're extremely pleased. We're very excited about the opportunity of our new auction site. Again, we're looking forward to be able to bring this to everybody. It'll be up this month. We'll be holding auctions constantly and bringing you the best alternative assets that money can buy. And again, we're extremely excited. So we'll keep you up to date. The catalog should be up within the next week, and you'll be able to view all of the pieces and then get ready for the auction, which is coming up around the end of March.
Featured Diamond of the Week, a 0.46 carat pear cut fancy intense purplish pink argyle. And the pear cut is stunning. See it online, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured Diamond of the Week. The question now today is, how do you invest today so you can retire tomorrow? It's very hard to retire in the financial world we live in. Everyone is worried about losing their retirement money due to another financial crash. And the question is, will I ever be able to retire? And that is something that many people are concerned about. Lots of questions that people have about the financial world, geopolitical world. And that's why we do our radio show. And that's why we say, give Harold Siegel a call. He talks to many, many radio listeners every week, hundreds of people in a month. He would be happy to speak with you. All you need to do is mark this number down, 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022, and Harold will be happy to speak with you personally and privately, and anything discussed is confidential. And Harold, with about 30 seconds left, the Canadian dollar and gold and silver doing exactly what we suspected it would.
And we'll continue to do so. Get involved in the trend. Don't let this one pass you by. We have an opportunity to make an awful lot of money. Let me show you how to do that.
Thank you very much, Harold Siegel, for your knowledge and another great show.
It's my pleasure, Randy. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
Remember, speak with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Good luck to our Edmonton Oilers playing the Montreal Canadiens at 5 o'clock. The Face-Off Show is coming up next. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.